You stand in front of an ATM at night, tap a screen, and watch a few bills slide out. It feels instant. It feels simple. But those notes may have spent the same day inside a restaurant register, a supermarket safe, a bank vault, an armored vehicle, and a machine built to inspect money faster than any person could. Where do they go when the city goes to sleep? The answer is not one giant vault. It is a moving system. A nightly supply chain designed to keep cash available exactly where people expect it, even though almost nobody sees the workers, machines, routes, and calculations keeping it alive. The moment an ATM gives you cash, it begins a small countdown. The machine knows roughly how many notes it has left. It knows which denominations are running low. It can report errors. Some systems can even help predict when the machine will need another delivery based on the day, the location, holidays, paydays, and the habits of people passing through. A cash machine outside a stadium does not behave like one in a quiet hospital lobby, does it? Behind the screen is a locked compartment called a cash cassette. Think of it like a heavy plastic magazine for money. Each cassette holds a particular denomination, arranged so the machine can pull out one note at a time. When you ask for $40, the ATM does not simply open a box and hope for the best. It uses rollers, sensors, and moving parts to separate individual notes, count them, and push them toward the slot. If two bills cling together, the machine has to notice. If a bill is folded, torn, or too worn to move correctly, the machine may reject it. That is why an ATM can sometimes make strange clicking sounds before giving you money. It is checking physical paper in real time, and every time it does, the hidden system is making another tiny decision: keep this note moving or take it out of circulation. Now imagine thousands of ATMs across a city: gas stations, malls, airports, bank walls, hotels, nightclubs, grocery stores, college campuses. By midnight, some are almost empty. Others are suddenly full because people deposited cash, or because a nearby business closed early and left its customers nowhere else to withdraw money. So who notices before the machine goes dark? Often a bank or ATM operator does. Sometimes it is a specialized cash handling company working for them. Companies such as Brinks and Loomis provide cash in transit and ATM services in many markets. Their job is not just to deliver bundles of notes, it is to make the whole route work: cash forecasting, secure transport, cassette exchange, maintenance coordination, and the return trip for money that came out of stores and machines. The vehicle is only the visible part. The real operation begins long before it leaves the depot. Earlier in the day, software has been comparing demand against inventory. A machine near an airport may need more 20s before a holiday weekend. A machine beside a factory may need more cash around payday. A machine inside a shopping center may need less on a rainy day, but more near closing time. Nobody walking past the ATM sees this forecast, but the forecast decides whether the machine will still have money when it matters. Then comes the route. Not every ATM gets visited every night. That would waste time, fuel, and security resources. Instead, visits are planned around what each machine needs, what each route can safely carry, and when the building can be accessed. An ATM inside a shop can only be serviced when staff allow it. An ATM outside a bank may be available at a different hour. A machine at an airport may have a completely different security process, so the money moves on a schedule most customers never notice. When the armored crew arrives, the goal is not drama, it is speed. One cassette comes out, another goes in. The old cassette may hold rejected notes, deposits, or cash that was never dispensed. The replacement cassette is sealed, tracked, and loaded with a known amount. The ATM is not being filled like a snack machine. It is being reconnected to a chain of custody. Every bundle has a story. Every cassette has an expected value. Every handoff is supposed to leave a record. That record matters because a missing note is not just a missing note. It becomes an accounting problem, a security problem, and sometimes a dispute between the operator, the bank, the carrier, and the business where the machine sits. So cash moves with receipts, logs, sealed containers, timestamps, and controlled access. Paper money may look old-fashioned, but the system around it is intensely data-driven. The truck then keeps moving. Maybe to another ATM, maybe to a retailer, maybe to a cash processing center that looks less like a movie vault and more like a quiet industrial warehouse with cameras, controlled doors, and machines that never get tired. This is where the strange part begins. Cash that leaves an ATM does not usually return to the ATM. It goes everywhere. You spend a 20 at a restaurant. The restaurant gives it back as change. Another person uses it at a convenience store. The store puts it in a till. At closing time, the store manager counts the notes, places them into a safe or deposit bag, and prepares them for collection or bank deposit. That same bill has now changed hands several times without leaving the local economy. At the end of the day, merchants create a reverse river. Cash flows back from shops, venues, parking machines, ticket booths, and bank branches towards secure collection points. This is why the cash supply never works like a straight line from a central printer to your wallet. It is a loop. Money leaves a vault. Money enters the public. Money returns from the public. Then the system decides what can be used again. The Federal Reserve banks call this process cash services. According to Fed Cash Services, the Federal Reserve banks act as distribution centers for new currency printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing and for new coins made by the United States Mint. But they are also part of the return path. Depository institutions can deposit excess and unfit currency, and the Federal Reserve fills orders using fit currency first, before adding newly printed notes when needed. That one detail changes the whole picture. The system tries not to print a replacement bill every time you spend one. A bill that is still clean, genuine, and usable may simply be counted, sorted, bundled, and sent back out through another bank or ATM. The Federal Reserve even has a currency recirculation policy built around encouraging fit notes to keep moving instead of being sent back unnecessarily. Why make a new note when a usable one can do another job? Inside a cash processing center, this decision happens at incredible speed. Bundles of notes are fed into sorting machines. The machines count them, check their size, check for damage, look for suspicious features, separate denominations, detect whether the paper is too worn to survive another trip through an ATM or a cash register. A note with a torn edge might be rejected. A note with writing, stains, missing pieces, or too much wear may be rejected. A counterfeit note may trigger an entirely different process. The point is not to make the money look perfect. It is to keep it safe, readable, countable, and reliable enough for the next person who receives it. Cash is physical infrastructure. It has to be maintained. That is why your oldest-looking bill may eventually disappear. Not because somebody decided it was unlucky, because a machine decided it had reached the end of its useful life. When Federal Reserve banks receive unfit currency, those notes are removed from circulation and destroyed. New notes from the Bureau of Engraving and Printing help replace what can no longer survive the system. It is a quiet recycling program for money, except the material being recycled is trust. And there is another twist. Some currency does not physically travel all the way to a Federal Reserve vault every time it needs to be accounted for. The Federal Reserve offers a custodial inventory program that allows participating institutions to hold currency inventory in their own vaults, while that inventory can remain on the books of the Federal Reserve banks. Armored carriers may operate these outsourced inventories for depository institutions. In plain English, some cash can be physically stored in a secure private vault while still being managed inside the wider Federal Reserve supply chain. That is how a city can stay ready. The cash is closer than you think. Not sitting at a distant government building waiting for a crisis. Already positioned in secure locations, tracked through inventory systems, prepared for the next rush of withdrawals. When a snowstorm, holiday outage, or local event changes demand, the system can respond faster because cash is not all in one place. This is also why a cash shortage can feel so strange. The country may not be out of currency. Your neighborhood may simply be short of the right denominations and the right machines at the right moment. A store can have too many small bills. An ATM can need 20s. A bank branch can need cash for its customers while another part of the network is holding excess notes. The challenge is not only making money, It is moving it where people need it, when they need it, in a form they can use. That is logistics. And it becomes even more important when electronic payments are disrupted. When card networks fail, internet service goes down, or people rush to withdraw cash because they are worried, paper notes stop being a background object. They become emergency infrastructure. Suddenly, every ATM becomes a pressure point. Every bank vault becomes part of a supply chain. Every armored route becomes more important than anyone realized the day before. The Federal Reserve's Cash Visibility Initiative shows how modern this old system has become. It is a joint effort involving financial institutions, armored carriers, merchants, and industry partners to better identify, track, and share data about cash packages moving through the supply chain. In other words, even paper money is becoming easier to trace as an object in motion. That does not mean every bill is tracked like a parcel. It means the containers, orders, deposits, and transfers around the bills can be made more visible. The package is visible, the route is visible, the handoff is visible, and that visibility helps the system avoid sending too much cash in one direction while another location quietly runs out. Still, the system is not perfect. ATMs can malfunction, a cassette can jam, a business can unexpectedly need more cash, a storm can delay a route, a major event can create demand that no forecast predicted. When that happens, the machine you see on the sidewalk is only the last piece of a much larger response. People in control rooms adjust schedules, vault staff prepare new cash orders, technicians diagnose hardware, carriers reroute vehicles, banks update customers. The little screen that says temporarily unavailable can represent dozens of invisible decisions happening behind the scenes. And that is the part nobody thinks about. You do not see the nightly count. You do not see the sealed bags. You do not see the sorting machines rejecting damaged bills one by one. You do not see cash moving from a restaurant safe into a carrier's custody, then into a vault, then back into an ATM across town. But it is happening almost every day because cash has to keep behaving as though it appeared by magic. The bill in your hand may have just completed a long loop. It may have passed through a grocery store, a bank branch, a cash center, and a machine designed to test whether it is still fit for circulation. It may have been stored in a vault before sunrise and delivered to an ATM before lunch. It may leave your wallet tonight and begin the loop all over again. So where does all the cash from ATMs go at night? Some of it goes into wallets, some of it goes into tills, some of it goes into sealed bags and locked vaults, some of it returns to the Federal Reserve System, and some of it, if it is still good enough, simply waits for its next assignment. The next time you stand in front of an ATM at night, tap a screen, and watch a few bills slide out, you will not be watching a machine produce money.
You will be opening a tiny door into one of the world's most invisible supply chains,